country is affecting and hurting a smaller country. And I will show you how in my submissions under law, under issue 1, blah, 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 under issue 2, blah, blah, blah. So in this situation, I am creating a narrative to show the judge that there is a situation where I am being hurt and I need a remedy from this court. And that is why you are able to, in competitions, when you are able to integrate law and facts together. অনেক সময় কি হয় যারা মুট করে they go specifically to the law এই আইনে এটা বলা আছে এই আইনে এটা বলা আছে ওই আইনে ওটা বলা আছে there are a lot of laws a lot of cases that you can refer but if you are not able to weave them together with your facts if you cannot show how that affects the facts of your case then you're not going to be able to completely impress the judges to impress the judges there need to be a proper balance it depends on the bench as well. Sometimes the court itself prefers the law, whilst other courts look at the facts a lot more. You have to read the room and read the questions that the judges ask you and your opposition as well. For example, দুইটা পার্টি তো থাকে একটা হচ্ছে ক্লেইমেন্ট আর একটা রেসপন্ডেন্ট ঠিক আছে একটা যে নামই থাকুক না কেন কমপ্লেইন্ট থাকে ডিফেন্ডেন্ট থাকে মানে দুই পার্টি থাকে এখন তুমি চিন্তা করতেছো তুমি হচ্ছে ডিফেন্ডেন্ট অর রেসপন্ডেন্ট সাইড আছো so the claimant is going first and when the claimant is going first you have to listen to all the questions that the judges are asking to the claimants this will allow you to identify the dents or holes in their arguments and many times the judges are trying to help you I have judged a lot of moot court competitions and I have seen this trend that judges are actually trying to help you by asking the opposition certain questions. If you cannot catch those questions, you cannot prioritize it and be able to utilize that and use it as a weapon against your opposition. Sometimes in competitions I like referring to my judges, how they have stated things to the other counsel. I like to talk about how the judge, your lordship, excellently pointed out to the claimants that this and this was the situation. This allows you to draw attention of the judges to the specific points. So, one thing I stated in the beginning, you're going to have 10 canons, and these are your laws, your cases. You're going to have a lot of arguments, especially when you start research. You're going to have a lot of arguments. You're going to think, oh, this point is right, this point is right, this point is right. But sadly, you only have 8 minutes to fire that gun and 8 minutes to create and clear a structured situation and an argument. For that, you're going to have to narrow down. তোমার 10টা জিনিস নিয়ে কথা বলতে হবে না. You pick out two of those that are the most important and you stick with them. এটার জন্য prioritizing your arguments is quite important. Another thing that people can do is anticipate rebuttals. অনেক সময় claimant বা যেটা হচ্ছে complainant ওরা এসে কি করে my learned respondents may say this will be their argument however even then our point stands due to certain reasons so আমি আগেই predict করতেছি যে আমার opposition এটা বলবে এবং এইটার আমার কাউন্টারটা আমি আমার সাবমিশন আগে থেকে দিয়ে দিলাম এইটাও করা যায় যদিও অনেক কম্পিটিশনে দেখবা এটা নিয়ে যদি কেউ কমপ্লেইনও করে this will not stand because that is a proper method of argument ঠিক আছে so you can be able to premeditate and rebut certain things that other people say sorry so one thing is when the judges are continuously trying to bully you and they will definitely try to bully you their main especially in international law moot court competitions and they're asking you questions you have to answer them and move on so দেখতে হবে ওরা কি নিয়ে প্রশ্ন করতেছে for example if they are তোমার ধরো 3টা পয়েন্ট আছে that you have to finish in your speech and from those 3 points তুমি first point এ আসো আর ওরা third point নিয়ে প্রশ্ন করতেছে you finish on your third point and you don't repeat your third point again you go back to your first you go to your second and you move on you conclude your submissions you tell the judge that as the learned counsel, as Your Excellency, the council has presented all 3 submissions that that the council is supposed to submit, then you move on and finish and conclude your submissions. And that is how you can bypass some of the integral difficulties that people face. One thing is, make sure you sleep at night before you come speak. Because this is going to be the most important thing. Nothing beats 6 hours of sleep. If you don't sleep 6 hours, you're going to bash the competition, it's going to be shit. I speak from experience. আমি একটা কম্পিটিশন এরকম হয়েছে যে আমি 2 ঘন্টা ঘুমাই গেছি, যে আমি রাউন্ডের মাঝখানে আমার যে টিমমেট ছিল সেও এরকম 1 ঘন্টা ঘুমায় নেই, সে রাউন্ডের মাঝখানে ঘুমায় গেছে, আমি পাশে বসে আছি, জাজ রাউন্ড স্টপ করছে, বলতেছে is she okay? So I was stuck in a very bad position and I was stuttering continuously because my head was blanking out every other moment, because nothing beats sleep. এটা তোমাদের এখানেও বলে রাখতেছি, যে কোনো জীবনে যে কোনো পরীক্ষা দিবা বলে রাখতেছি, nothing beats sleep. You need a functioning brain in order to be a good speaker. Another thing is, a lot of people face anxiety and anxiety attacks during the submissions, simply because standing before people is not something people are used to. So make sure when you are sitting, before you have to stand, you do some breathing exercises. So these are just slow breaths. Okay, I can hear you guys. So slow, controlled breaths, they help a lot. I remember a Jesape, which happened I think in February or March. I found out that one of the judges is going to be Barrister Mustafizur Rahman Khan. He is someone I sincerely look up to as a huge senior in court. And he is probably right now the best speaking lawyer in Bangladesh. You will not see him in front of anyone because he's a very apolitical person. So he doesn't really invest in anything. He does his work at court and he's a marvelous speaker. And he is one of the most vicious people I have ever seen in court. So when I found out that he's going to be the next judge, I was having a panic attack. I was sweating profusely through my hands, and I was just sitting there just trying to calm my breath, and it worked. Barrister Mustafizur Rahman Khan told me that I am better than 90% of the advocates in Bangladesh right now, and that was the best compliment I think I've ever received. So these things, these small tactics such as sleep and controlling your breath, they are extremely important for you to maintain your composure when it comes to these moot court competitions. Now, coming to the 4th point on understanding questions. Make sure to ask the judge if you don't understand, because the judge is always going to try to confuse you with the questions. They may state a country wrong, they may state a law wrong, and if you agree with them, then you will get negatively marked. If they might try to mix in certain words that help your opposition, but you have to be very aware of the circumstances. I remember in Washington this year, there was one judge from Oxford, and he was asking us continuously the same question, but I stood my ground. I tried to make sure that he understands that he's wrong, and you have to do it very respectfully. If you try to tell him, Mr. President, you're wrong, that is not how he's going to work. He's going to get disrespected. He's going to start throwing a fit. But you have to say, Mr. President, most humbly, the council disagrees with the statement that you have made. This is because the law states this and this. And you quote the law. So in that situation, it shows your utmost respect and decency, and also your ability to completely tackle the question. These questions that the judges are going to throw at you are usually going to be things that you have practiced, if you have practiced speaking. And one of the biggest things is practicing. If you go to your moot competition and without any practice rounds between yourself and your coach and others who are involved, you're not going to be able to do well, sadly. Because you need people to ask you questions while you stand and give submissions. This is going to help you in 3 different ways. Number 1, it's going to help you structure your arguments. Number 2, it's going to help you predict the questions that you're going to get. Number 3, it's going to help you practice. When it comes to speaking itself. And when it comes to the questions itself, they might be factual, they might be legal, and they might be hybrid applications. ধরো তোমাকে একটা জাজ বললো একটা সিনারিও বেসড একটা কোশ্চেন দিল, something that is complete, you have done your work, and this is only going to be possible if you take practice rounds, practice questions, and try to predict all bad situations that are going to happen in your Moot court computation. Everything I learned from Imdad sir. He is the Dean of Eastern University. He personally taught me how to Moot. So he really made sure to keep me at the university at 12 a.m. practicing for these rounds. He made sure that I gave my maximum effort, and that is the level of effort you need to dedicate to be the best at anything. So, and also judges may also be friendly in a sense. They may try to guide you. Just catch them. Don't disagree with everything the judge says. You have to understand what he's trying to say and then move on. But being able to catch things and understand them is going to be based on how much research and knowledge you've gathered. তোমাদের যে ফ্যাক্টসটা থাকবে এইটা তোমার মিনিমাম 20 বার পড়তেই হবে। 20 বারের নিচে পড়লে হবে না। প্রত্যেকটা প্যারাগ্রাফে কোথায় কোন প্যারাগ্রাফে কি লেখা আছে ফ্ল্যাগ মার্ক করে রাখতে হবে। If you don't do that, you're not going to be able to refer to it on spot. Imagine the judge asks you, where is this stated, in which page, in which paragraph? You don't have to look down. You have to say paragraph 5 and page 4. That is the amount of knowledge that you require to give a good submission. You have to have everything here in your head. So, lastly, what I'm going to focus on in answering questions. There are many tactics that people use in answering questions. Some can be direct and some can go for a narrative-based answer. What are narrative-based answers? Firstly, telling a big story and then going towards your conclusion. But sometimes the judges are impatient. You have to answer them a yes or no question. And if you are confused, it's going to make your life difficult. In my Henry Dunant rounds, my co-counsel, she had a sort of a problem. She had a guffaw where she could not understand what the judge said. The judge asked her a question. Judge একবার বলছে, সে বলছে sorry. Judge দুইবার বলছে, সে বলছে sorry. তিনবার বলছে, চারবার বলছে judge. The judge got so tired, he said the round is over. So coming from so much experience, I really beg you guys to be able to, take practice sessions in the future as well, to be able to completely grasp every single thing that a judge can ask you and be able to answer it on spot. Answering it on spot is going to be very important if you are a good speaker, because the judge is going to ask you anything from anywhere and he's not going to give you time. You can ask for time if you are very shuffled and you have a bunch of documents in front of you. But if you keep flipping through pages trying to go through answers, 1 second, your lordship, you're just flipping through pages, it's not going to make a good impression. So answering questions, you have to be direct. And your directness is going to completely show whether you are able to do it or not. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to just give a yes or no answer. You're going to have to structure it afterwards. Yes, Your Excellency, and then go on to explain it. If you cannot explain it, it's not going to be good enough. So imagine, they say, so you think your opposition is wrong. You can't just say yes, Mr. President. You can't just say that, yes, Your Lordship. You're going to have to go forward and show why you think they're wrong. So if you are able to structure your answers, even after you take, let's say, a 10-second pause, it's going to make a better impression than not being able to give a clear and adequate answer. And lastly, I'm going to talk about something that is quite frowned upon, and that is making gestures in court. You cannot speak like this to the judge. They're leaning forward and speaking like this. And that is something that is looked down upon. When you are submitting before a court, or that may be in front of anyone, you have to stand straight, you have to fix your posture, you have to make sure your hands are placed on the podium when you're speaking. Making hand gestures are only going to be when you're making friendly hand gestures. You call your
What counsel, what do you think about this matter? And it's like something like out of the mind, or how actually, from your perspective, that how should be this answered regarding any matter?
So there's going to be a lot of policy questions that are very relevant to your facts. So many times the judges will ask you such policy questions, and you're going to have to refer to them by reference of law. And if you don't have any reference of law, refer to any political or any demographic situation that you are aware of as an example. For example, South Sudan is a say. For example, let's say Portugal versus India. ICJ cases, for example, you're going to read a lot when you're going to go mooting. And you're going to have an idea and grasp of the entire world to a certain extent. And use that idea to make sure you look confident when you're bullshit. So that's what you're going to have to do if it's a policy question that you are not accustomed to or you're not acquainted with. But sometimes it's okay to say, Your Lordship, I do not know the answer to that question. And but that's going to set an impression. That's going to set an impression that you're unaware. Even if it is the most absurd thing and you're not supposed to be aware of it, they expect you to be prepared and very good about everything. So read your materials, read your cases, because many times when they do ask you policy questions, they are usually doing this from your facts or the memorial or some reference that the competition organization has given them. So they probably are referring to a specific point. And make sure you are a researcher in Jessup Moot competition was Sakib Khondokar. He is the most exceptional researcher I've ever seen in my entire life. He is from Eastern. They won Asia Cup this year. He has the best memorials from Asia Cup. And he allowed me to leave research to him. But that is not going to always be the case. I've also been in teams where I've had to contribute to the research myself. And that is also very important. You have to make sure you can do everything. You have to make sure to have the ability to both do research and be a good speaker. In my first competitions from University of London, I was actually a researcher. And I was the best researcher twice from there. But moving on forward with my litigation and what you want to persevere and do in your career, that's going to shape you into whether you take a research role or a main speaker role in these Moot competitions. I understand everyone wants to be a speaker, but make sure you're a team player. That's very important. Anything else? Any other questions? People that are going to be the part of your team. Tarpore memorial যখন হয়ে যাবে, have practice rounds. Give everyone the opportunity to speak. Maybe have a person or 3 or 4 people to decide who the better speaker was. And this may result in clashes, I understand, with your team, but this is going to make sure your team is winning. And you need to have that understanding with your other teammates that whoever speaks, we have to ensure that we appear as a team. Because when you are concluding your submissions, even before a judge, everyone stands up while you read the prayers. So everyone behind you, while you are standing and giving the final prayers to a judge, they are your team. So they are all submitting before this court. They are all the lawyers of this court, right? Even if one has not spoken. So in order, you have to make sure you have good team chemistry, and you need to decide it amongst yourself after the memorial is written. সবার তিনজনেরই সাবমিশন দিবে, তিনজনের সাবমিশন নেওয়ার পর যারটা মনে হয় ভালো হচ্ছে তাকে অপরচুনিটি দেওয়া উচিত, যতই নিজের ইচ্ছাও না থাকুক না কেন। they have to go forward.
Myself, Mr. Tony, I have a question that what should you do if you think your competitor has misstated a fact? Because in many competitions,
The courts that Your Excellency, my learned friends may be unaware of the facts because they have pointed out something that is not in the Moot court facts, nor is it available under the sources of law. Then I give the correct position of law and tell them where exactly they have been misled. You point it out to the court, but don't do it very aggressively. You have to refer to your opposition as my learned friends and not as, the opposition has pointed out this and that. So you have to make sure to keep your composure when you're giving your submission, especially when you are going to be hostile. When you're going to be hostile, you're going to have to keep the most composure. So when you're going to be violent, you have to be calm and peaceful while you're being violent against your opposition. But definitely go for it. There's no harm in being competitive, especially against others. Talking about adverse possession under property law somehow, I don't know how I started it. I started talking about adverse possession. And I just, it was one of the worst experiences of my life, but you stand straight, you apologize. My apologies, Your Excellencies, if I could have a moment to gather my things up. So you're taking a slight moment, let's say 5 seconds, 10 seconds, how much you need, drink some water. You take a bottle of water with you, drink. The council submits this and this. So you redirect the judges to the correct facts. So to be able to, completely able to argue in your favor. Anything else?
Hello Mahir, I am Nazib. My question is, sometimes judges ask questions out of the fact. So if I could refer one thing from last Jessup that the Union of Abir has not confirmed Romania that they will pardon Mrs. Cross, something like that. Or if the judges ask that, have you confirmed that you will be pardoned Mrs. Cross or not? There is nothing mentioned in the fact. So as an applicant, how can I deal with that type of questions?
Of course, there's going to be many situations where the judge reads the facts wrong. Because ওদেরকে কিন্তু বেশি সময় দেওয়া হয় না। ওদেরকে কিন্তু বলা হয় আধা ঘন্টা সময় দেওয়া হয়। ধরো if they are senior judges as well. ওদেরকে এসে শুধু বলে দেয় যে তোমরা এখন you take these facts sir, there's going to be the round in 20 minutes. They don't know everything and they're going to get word of mouth from, let's say, someone who is guiding them. They're going to get the summary and they're going to be able to misinterpret the facts or the law. In this situation, you have to most respectfully point the court to the right facts. You have to refer the specific paragraph of the facts where you are trying to show that there has not been any pardon that has been promised by the Union of Ambrosia under the circumstances. So ওইভাবে করে আগাইতে হবে। এরকম I remember Justice Chowdhury এটা সিসিমোট আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ডিং অফ সিস্টেমকে দুদকে ধরাবো।
In class 3, that was adrenaline wave. So my question is, how can I use adrenaline wave during voting?
Of course, you can use your adrenaline to completely rebut your opposition's points in many times, because when, imagine you are the respondent, you are the side that is going to speak second. You have heard everything the claimants have said. Now you have noted down everything that they have said, and you're going to go on a barrage. You're going to go and destroy every single point they have made. I remember in these competitions, I take this route many times as the respondent. I listen to everything that is being said before I speak, and I make sure when I stand up, my main arguments are not what I wrote down. My main arguments are what my claimant said, and I'm going to rebut everything that he said. I go to the court, I present, Your Excellency, the council will start off by pointing out the issues 1, 2, and 3. So I think that is it. I hope this session was helpful, and I rest my submissions here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Your achievement